The shirt says it all. I'm a Boris Malenko guy. We're here at CCW Coastal Championship Wrestling in Coral Springs, South Florida. Frank Reyes is here, referee extraordinaire, also training talent as well. So up in the Tampa area. Tonight is a historic night, the Malenko Cup, to honor the great Malenko. Usually it's in the Tampa area, but tonight CCW, Pablo, Marquez, Dan Evans, you brought it down to South Florida, and you were trained by the great Malenko.
I was trained by the great Malenko.
What does this whole event mean to you?
Well, it means the world to me. I started this 8 years ago in Tampa. Of course, you know, I got the approval of the Malenko brothers, Joe and Dean, and they said, Frank, you're like a son to your brother to us. So yeah, I'll run with it. You know, it's a great honor, you know, to continue the legacy of the Malenko name. Malenko meant so much to many of us, especially to me. He was my advisor, my trainer, my mentor, my second father. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have traveled the world. I wouldn't have worked for WCW. I wouldn't have worked for WWF or CW. So this is my homage to a great man who did so many things for so many people and for the wrestling business itself. He, along with Eddie Graham, made Florida wrestling the best territory in professional wrestling in the 60s and 70s.
Because when you think of Florida wrestling, for me it would be the 80s, late 70s, 80s. Of course I think of Gordon Soley, Eddie Graham, Dusty Rhodes. But even before that, and even going into that time, that's how much the great Malenko meant. He was a great heel. He was a top wrestler and also a very top-notch trainer. So I wanted you to expand on the lineage of the Florida wrestling and just what he has meant to the history of Florida wrestling.
Sure, I mean, Malenko was instrumental in really making a lot of guys famous. Wahoo McDaniel, Eddie Graham, Joe Scarpa, who ended up being Jay Strongbow in the WWF, the Gladiator, Rick Hunter, Don Curtis, Danny Miller. I mean, the list goes on. And his tag team partners that he had over the years. Johnny Valentine, the Missouri Mauler, Rocky Hamilton, Bob Orton Sr., Tarzan Tyler. I mean, you know, the list just goes on. And one thing I'd like to say, too, he was very popular in this area. Not so much as the great Malenko, but as Mr. Miami. He wore a mask, and he was Mr. Miami. A lot of people don't realize that, but he was Mr. Miami here. Bobby Shane, he had a tremendous feud with Bobby Shane as Mr. Miami. So, you know, I mean, the man was just, and he had the biggest heart. His heart was bigger than anything. He'd do anything to help anyone, you know, in this business. And so many of us have so much to thank for, you know. My bitter enemy, but also my dear friend Bob Cook. Rey Ayala, he also trained Gangrel. He trained Kane. He trained Johnny B. Bad, Mark Miro, Austin Idol, Bill Eady, the Masked Superstar. I mean, I could be here forever just mentioning the names. Rex King, Pat Tanaka, Mike Graham, Bob Orton Jr., we could go on and on and on and on.
It's amazing the history with the Malenkos
Yes.
and the great Boris Malenko, and want to see a great Malenko Cup tonight. It's a tremendous event, and thank you all for bringing it down here.
Thank you so very much. We love you guys.